Meu nome é Cairo Santos e eu sou kicker e único brasileiro jogando na NFL. Cada chute, cada jarda conquistada, cada passo me levou para mais perto dos meus sonhos. Agora, a cada R$ 200 em compras com seu Visa cadastrado, você tem a chance de ficar mais perto do sonho de assistir ao Super Bowl 59. E usando o seu cartão de débito, você ainda concorre a prêmios diários de até R$ 1.000. Não importa o tamanho do seu sonho, dê o primeiro passo. Visa, apoiando seus passos aonde você quiser chegar.
Olha o contra-ataque aí, vem que vem o time avançando rápido pela meio de campo. Bola dominada no pé do camisa 10. Ele vai pra cima, passou pelo primeiro, passou pelo segundo e bateu a grande área, vai chutar. Bateu, é gol! Que golaço, minha gente!
A experiência de futebol mais autêntica já criada pros games. Junte-se no 5v5 Rush, a nova maneira de jogar com os amigos e leve seu clube pra vitória. EA Sports FC 25. Dê tudo pelo clube. Já disponível.
American soccer fans, welcome to episode 142 of the USA Soccercast. We are bringing you everything about the U.S. national teams, the players, the leagues, and everything else that impacts the game of soccer in these United States. I'm Donald Wine. It is Thursday, October 10th, 2024, and the Mauricio Pochettino era is about to begin. Starting this weekend, the United States men's national team will compete in two friendlies that will mark the first matches for Mauricio Pochettino as he takes the sidelines as the United States men's national team head coach. Of course, first is this Saturday, October 12th at Q2 Stadium in Austin, where the U.S. will take on Panama, kickoff at 9 p.m. Eastern time. And then they hit the road to Estadio Akron in Guadalajara. They face Mexico in a rare road friendly that is on October 15th on Tuesday. 10:30 p.m. Eastern time is the kickoff for that. And naturally, we want to talk about these games, but let's first start with the roster. His very first roster, Pochettino, calling in 25 guys. He's had to make some changes since his initial naming of the roster, but here is the current roster as it stands right now. For goalkeepers, there's four of them: Ethan Horvath, Patrick Schulte, Zach Steffen, and Matt Turner. 8 defenders: Marlon Fossey, Christopher Lund, Mark McKenzie, Tim Ream, Anthony Robinson, Miles Robinson, Joe Scally, and Austin Trusty. We move on to the midfielders. 7 midfielders: Brendan Aronson, Gianluca Busio, Wes McKinney, Aiden Morris, Yunus Musa, Tanner Tessman, and Malik Tillman. And then finally, your forwards: Ricardo Pepi, Christian Pulisic, Josh Sargent, Brandon Vasquez, Haji Wright, and Alex Zendejas. Now, I mentioned there's a couple of guys here that are new to the roster that have been added in recent days. Tim Weah, Johnny Cardoso, and Folarin Balogun were named to the original roster, but were all removed over the weekend due to injury issues. It wasn't clear what those issues were. Johnny Cardoso actually played over the weekend, so it's unclear as to what his injury concern may be, but all 3 of those guys held out of camp. In their place, you have Tanner Tessman, Brandon Vasquez, and Alex Zendejas coming in. So those are the 3 additions and the 3 guys who departed camp before it even began. No Gio Reyna. He's still injured. In fact, could be out till after the November international window. No Tyler Adams because of injury. And a lot of these guys having injuries or otherwise not playing well has left the door open for Mauricio Pochettino to kind of view this as an evaluation camp in some ways. He gets to call in some guys that we haven't seen before or guys we haven't really seen a lot of recently. And it gives these players a chance to show that they should be a part of the team moving forward. Zach Steffen is on this roster. He gets another shot. He has been off the roster for a very long time. And now he is back. He's been with Colorado Rapids. He hasn't played well for them, but at the same time, he's getting this opportunity to reestablish himself as one of the better goalkeepers in the American player pool. Austin Trusty, Marlon Fossey, Aiden Morris, Tanner Tessman, Alex Zendejas, Brandon Vasquez, they all get shots. And these are guys that if you thought about your top 23 players or top 25 players, they may not be in that mix. But as we look forward to 2026, as we look forward to the Gold Cup next year, and even if you think about the Gold Cup, you have the Club World Cup going on at the same time. Some of our players may be unavailable for the national team at that time because of the dueling tournaments. And because of that, you need to have depth and you need to have guys who can step in a pinch and be able to produce the way that our normal starters would. That's where these guys getting an opportunity to shine is important. And I think that's something that Mauricio Pochettino wants. He wants competition at every single spot. And so far in camp, it sounds like that has been on the table. Everyone is competing for places in the game, competing for places in the starting 11, competing for opportunity to get out on the field and show what they can do. It leaves the potential for interesting combinations, right? Like you have Josh Sargent, who is finally in a camp, not injured, knock on wood. Perhaps he gets to play, especially with Valerian Balogun being out. Christian Pulisic, who is in one of the great runs that an American player has had in a very long time on the international stage, both for club and for country. He gets in and you figure, how do you build a team around him and the success that he's having with a Ricardo Pepi, with a Josh Sargent, with, again, a Brandon Vasquez, who's getting this chance now that Balogun is out to come in and show that he should be one of those four nines. Haji Wright, how does he get into the fold? Now, again, with Weah out, he gets a chance to shine. And Alex Indejas gets another chance to really be a part of this roster. Up front is very, very interesting with combinations in the middle. Of course, Tyler Adams is out. Who's going to be that six that we desperately need? Of course, Johnny Cardoso has been that for a couple of matches. He is out. And now you have a chance for Gianluca Busto to get involved, for Aidan Morris to get involved, for Malik Tillman to get involved, who's been playing very well at PSV. And defenders. Look, Tim Ream being on this roster, he has basically said, hey, it's very, very unlikely that I get to the World Cup in 2026. He's 38 years old. And this is a chance for guys to learn from Tim Ream and also to try and take his spot, because the reason why he keeps getting called in these camps is not based on charity, is because Tim Ream continues to produce every single time he's in these camps. And the way to get a guy out of the paint, if you're thinking, hey, he's too old and he needs to be sent out to pasture, thank you for your service, then you need to outplay him. And somehow he has been able to get into the fold, and these other defenders have either been injured, been out of the loop with their club, have not been playing a lot or not playing well. And at the end of the day, they have to step their game up to another level. I think that's the case for everyone. And then finally, the goalkeepers, right? The goalkeepers have not been playing at all, other than Zach Steffen and Patrick Schulte. Like Ethan Horvath not playing a lot for Cardiff, for not playing well. Matt Turner is sitting on the bench at Crystal Palace. And that, especially for goalkeepers, really messes with their rhythm. And an interesting thing that Pochettino said in a press conference earlier this week, he said playing regularly in MLS can be better than rarely playing in Europe, and that he may call on some MLS players to come into camp over a guy who may be on a European team but is not in the lineup and is not playing regularly. It does not have that rhythm or that, or the stamina needed, the conditioning needed to be a part of this team. And of course, that is going to light the internet on fire, and we'll see if he actually means that, right? And how the internet reacts to that, because in recent years, everyone has said, if you're not playing in Europe, you should not be on this national team. I have never been one of those people, but at the same time, MLS players have an opportunity here, it feels like, to step up to the plate and say, hey, this is a good league. I'm playing well in this league, and you should consider me for the national team. I think those are things that especially will be interesting at the goalkeeping position, of which, again, none of them are really playing that well that are playing abroad. Some of them aren't playing at all. And you have the MLS goalkeepers who are playing every week. And because of that, they're getting better. Drake Callender is not on this roster, but Drake Callender is a guy who's going to be playing into November because of his status as the starting goalkeeper for Inter Miami. They've won the Supporter Shield. He is going to be a factor in these playoffs and could, again, play himself back into this national team setup. The door is open for all these guys. Injuries, notwithstanding. But the idea here is competition at every single position. And it sounds like Pochettino has been working on that in practice, and these guys have been responding in kind. So there's your roster. We'll leave it right there for a quick break. On the other side, we will talk about the actual games that are going to be played over the next week. Stick around. More after this. Hey everyone, are you looking for the latest gear for your U.S. national teams, Major League Soccer, the NWSL, or any other team in the world of soccer? the USA Soccer Cast has affiliate partnerships that are ready to help you out. Head to linktree.com/USA Soccer Cast, where we have links to Homage, Fanatics, the MLS Store, and Breaking Tea. You can get the jersey, shirt, hat, or accessory you're looking for to support your team, while also saving some money and helping this show in the process. Again, linktree.com/USA Soccer Cast. Click on the links and get your gear. And we thank you as always for your support of the show. We're back, and we are in the middle of the United States men's national team's October international window. Again, games at home on Saturday against Panama, and then Tuesday on the road in Guadalajara against Mexico. The thing I want to talk about with these games is, yes, those are two CONCACAF opponents. Mexico, of course, being a co-host for the 2026 World Cup alongside us in Canada. Panama, the fourth team in this mix who have earned a bye through to the quarterfinals of the Nations League, which will reemerge itself next month. But everyone that's out there on the internet who likes to talk about this team and likes to talk about how this team gets better has always said that playing against CONCACAF teams has not been the road to success. But the problem is that is the only road. And the road to a World Cup, whether it's qualifying for a World Cup, whether it's, again, establishing yourself as one of the better teams in the world, starts with beating teams at home, beating teams in CONCACAF, in your region. And one thing that concerns me as a fan and who loves the Nations League, one of the biggest Nations League fans out there, I have gone to every single U.S. men's national team game in the CONCACAF Nations League. I will not stop. But now the United States men's national team is third in the CONCACAF standings behind Mexico and now Canada. Of course, Canada beat them last month. They drew Mexico, and that was enough points for them to leapfrog United States into second place in the CONCACAF standings. Never mind the CONCACAF standings kind of being weird in the fact that the United States was on top of CONCACAF for about 5 years and did not move from second to first over Mexico. But, a couple bad windows and they're now down to third. But I will say this, that is what is relied upon to determine the order of matchups for the Nations League quarterfinals next month. And a lot of people in the internet have said that the U.S. has to think beyond CONCACAF, but you can't do that when CONCACAF, outside of Mexico so far, is beating you. You need to get back on track this month, in the next couple of months, with this window and then the Nations League quarterfinals. Again, a competition that has only seen the trophy being touched by the United States of America. And to get to any World Cup, sure, you need to test yourself against the best of the world, the Argentinas, Brazil, Germany, the Frances of the world. But we don't play those teams to qualify for a World Cup. So we need to continue our dominance in the region. And to do that, we need to take these matches seriously and figure out how we dominate on the field and learn how to continue to get better as a program when we play these teams. We cannot use the excuse of we're not getting better because we're playing Panama, because Panama is not having that same excuse. We have to be competitive in everything we do, and it does not matter who is the other team on the other side of the field. We have to show dominance against them, or we have to show that we can beat them. And if it's a team that everyone views as inferior to us or lesser than us, in the case of Panama, in the case of Mexico who is reeling, then go out and show that. Don't play them to a 1-1 draw. Don't let them get into the game and win 2-1. Take care of business. And the one thing that leads to is the one thing that I'm hoping to see in this camp. The competitive fire needs to increase. The sense of urgency needs to be present and high. And it's time to take advantage of this new beginning and improve every single day that they're at this camp. And they need to continue to do that when they all disperse to go back to their clubs. Everyone should be competing at every single position and hopefully show that they are going to help this team continue to improve. They were 11th in the world. The United States was 11th in the world rankings in April. They're now 18th. And that has taken place over the course of one friendly window in June, the Copa America, of which we crashed out in the group stage, and then the September international window. In the case of 3 windows, we have gone from 11th to 18th. And that is a precipitous drop. considering how good this team should be. And I think that this team needs to get back to the basics of fighting for each other, fighting for the crest, playing every single match as if it is the last time they will play on this national team, playing with that competitive fire, playing with that urge to win, and the wherewithal to never give up and never give in, and feel like even if we're down 2-1 in the 85th minute, that we will win the game, not just draw, but win the game. I want to see that on display on Saturday night. I want to see that on display when we go to the road to Guadalajara. Remember, the United States have won once in Mexico, ever. That was in 2012 in a friendly at Azteca. They have a chance to do that again. In, again, a rare road friendly in Mexico. They have a chance to do what they've only done one other time. They can't just walk in there and think that Mexico's going to hand it to them. They can't just walk into Q2 Stadium and think that Panama is just going to roll over and let them score 8 goals on them. They have to go out and get them. And the last few months, I think everyone would agree that we haven't seen that from this team. And that's a shot to everybody, from the coaching staff all the way down to the last player on the bench. Everybody has to come in with that mindset. And again, it might be harder for Pochettino to do it since it's his first match, and he hasn't had to deal with CONCACAF, which everyone knows what I mean when I say CONCACAF. He has to deal with that, and he has to figure out a way to shine through that and show that this team has turned it around, that they're an improved bunch, and that they're going to play with that fire and desire that we all expect them to every single game, whether it's Panama or France. I don't know the answer to that question. We'll see on Saturday night. We will see on Tuesday how they perform. But those are the things I'm looking at. It may not be who, in particular is producing. It might be just as a team, how do they look? There's no stats that quantify that. There's the eye test. And for me, the eye test is king. When you're at a game, you're not checking your phone all the time to see how many XG that a team might have. You might do that at halftime, but during the game, you're trying to see the flow and how these players are working together as a team to move the ball forward and get chances on goal and score and win. I want everyone to kind of focus on that this weekend as this team takes the field, because that is going to be the determining factor, and that's the thing that needs to improve right now, and effort is the one thing that can help with that. So that will do it for episode 142 of the USA Soccer Cast. Thank you so much for listening. Remember to follow us on Twitter, and we are on YouTube as well. Follow us on both at USA Soccer Cast. Subscribe, rate, and review our channels. It helps greatly, and it is appreciated. Don't forget, we have affiliate programs with a ton of places to get you the gear you love and to help you travel to see your team or watch them from the comfort of your home. Head to our Linktree, linktree.com/USA Soccercast to learn more. Click the links to all of those sites and support the show in the process. We have partnerships with a ton of places, and we have our stimulus store. So we've got the gear you need to be ready for any match. So check it out. We'll talk to you again soon, y'all. Peace.